What's good, ladies and gents? Welcome to the MKO Pugilism Boxing channel, where we talk all things boxing. Remember to like, subscribe, comment, hit the bell notification, put it on all, and you'll get notified straight away as soon as we drop new content on the channel. So anyway, let's get into it. So this weekend gone, a couple of days ago, we had the Battle of South London, Crystal Palace versus Croydon, Joshua Buatsi of Croydon versus Craig Spider Richards from Crystal Palace, and this was a very good fight. It did not disappoint at all. Very competitive. Joshua Buatsi just sort of edged it out, got the nod on the scorecards. Tony Bellew had a bit of a crazy scorecard, but that's neither here nor there. So this fight from the off was pretty exciting. Joshua Buatsi started very positively. He sort of jumped on the front foot straight away. The positives about his performance, he was, lots of jabbing, double jabbing from round one, from that word go, double jabbing all the way through, putting the pressure on Craig Spider Richards. You could tell that he Richards, starts quite slow, and you could tell Buatsi had thought of this and knew of this, and he started the fight quite quick, set a high tempo, high work rate from the off. But as the fight went on, Craig Richards certainly started to come into it, even sort of as early as the third round, and he was able to be catching Buatsi with some of his wide punches, some of the left hooks and everything. So Richards began to really sort of, as much as a lot of the early rounds, at least some of them were going to Joshua Buatsi. He was the man sort of in the ascendancy, but Craig Spider Richards, cast iron chin, cast iron jaw, he was able to sort of take Buatsi's hardest punches and come back with the counters. So it was pretty close. I mean, Buatsi was edging, I suppose, by the mid stage of the fight as well, but the thing was, he always had this problem of Spider Richards always sort of having an answer. And I think for Buatsi, one thing he could have done, put a little bit more pressure on Craig Spider Richards, because I feel as the fight sort of wore on, he was giving Craig Richards a lot of space and a lot of time to get his shots off, to get his work going. You know what I mean? So whereas he could have just sort of jumped on him and sort of made sure Spider couldn't work. I mean, it was that, in a way, although I consider that kind of a mistake for Buatsi to sort of allow Richards to have that time and space to punch and to counter him, etc., etc. In a way, that made the fight exciting. That made the fight more entertaining. The fact that both guys sort of had their play and both guys got to, get their work off. Because Spider Richards really did have his moments. I mean, as the fight wore on, he managed to sort of get to Buatsi. He managed to hurt him. He done some real damage on Buatsi, definitely. I'd say, he kind of, as much as, even though he lost, Spider Richards, he did kind of box out of his skin, and there were moments in there where Buatsi, I think it was about round 6, where Buatsi had sort of a big flurry and, banging away at Richards, with hooks, several hooks. So there could have been about 10 of these hooks that just winging away at Richards, and he was pretty accurate. He was getting through to Richards, but Richards sort of hold on, weathered the storm, come back with his own hooks and stuff. So yeah, it was a good fight. Good fight was this one. And in the end, for me, and I guess for the judges, it all just came down to Joshua Buatsi just doing that little bit more to sort of edge the fight. because Richards, as well as he did, he was countering and he threw his own combinations, and Buatsi did take little breaks in his fight where he would get tired and he would ease off, and then Richards would come back and throw his shots, put Buatsi under pressure. But it was always, there was just that little bit more that perhaps Richards could have done, or perhaps maybe it wasn't in him to do. But yeah, he certainly made it close. And the fact that, as I say, Buatsi tired at certain points, especially as the fight went late, his stamina sort of dwindled. And yeah, Spider Richards, especially towards those last sort of championship rounds, Spider Richards had a real good time of it, won several of those, but it just was not quite enough to take the decision in this fight. So yeah, overall good fight. For me, it was a pretty close fight. I think I suppose my unofficial score, I had it to Buatsi by about 2 rounds, so like a 7-5 fight in my opinion. But I could see people saying 8-4 or something like that, because I just felt that as much as Spider did do good work in there, I thought the combination punching of Joshua Buatsi, although he fought in bursts, so that kind of made it look like, oh look, he's thrown a burst there, he's thrown combination, but now he's taking time off, and now Richards is having his way. But I just think the work of Buatsi was just that little bit more, that tiny bit more than what Richards was doing, and it just landed that little bit more. And I'd say his punches were sort of the harder punches, although I would also add that he did get hurt during his fight more than once by Craig Spider Richards. He'd probably never admit that. But yeah, no injustice here, no robbery here, just a good performance. I'd say particularly a good performance by Craig Spider Richards. As far as Buatsi goes, I think if you're talking about world championships, I think they need to pump the brakes on that. I don't think, going by that performance, and even by his last performance, I don't think he's quite ready for a world title fight as yet. I think guys like Bivol, they'd eat him alive. Guys like Beterbiev, Joe Smith Jr., they'd have him up, and guys like that would probably be able to stop him, because you saw the damage Richards was able to do. And Richards is a bit of a puncher, but not the most devastating puncher, not really a pressure fighter. And you'd imagine, one of these top guys, these top sort of pressure fighting quality guys, they'd take Joshua Buatsi apart. But I think if he has a few more fights like this, maybe an Anthony Yarde next. And I think, to be honest, watching that fight, I'd be probably favouring Anthony Yarde over Buatsi based on what I've just seen there, because I think Yarde would jump on him and stick the pressure on him, and I'd sort of more favour Yarde. Maybe that's just me being a bit, I could be wrong on that, but just based on what I've seen of both guys, I just think Yarde might have the edge on him. But I think, yeah, so that's what he needs next. Get in there with your domestic rivals, maybe a Callum Smith, a Anthony Yarde, Callum Johnson. Get in there with get a fight like that. Get someone like that. Get someone fringe world level. Build yourself up a bit more. I agree with what G-Man was saying on G-Man Boxing about this guy. He needs about another year, and then you can possibly talk about world championships if he comes through. But then I suppose the problem he's got is he's high up in the sanctioning bodies already. And, Eddie Earn was talking about Bivol versus Buatsi and all that. But for me, he's okay. He is a good fighter, but he's not ready for the big boys. He's not ready for the top guys at light heavyweight as yet. I think fight your domestic rivals, and then if you can beat those guys, beat them convincingly, and then fight someone else, you may then be ready. So that's my opinion on it. Let me know what you guys thought of the fight, and what you think should be next for Richards, what you think should be next for Buatsi. And until next time, it's MKO Pugilism over and out.